So let's get started. Okay, again, welcome to today's webinar. Today we're going to be covering basic information on getting started with your new Drupal website, your IndieCommerce website. My name is Scott Nowes. I'll be your host for this webinar today, and joining me here is my colleague Shanti. So we're going to go over a few things now. Previously, our webinars tend to focus on a very specific topic, and we cover that topic from top to bottom. In this case, this is going to be a little bit different. There are a lot of things to cover, and much of this we're not really going to get into a lot of detail. Keep in mind that a lot of the topics that we will be covering today are already covered in great detail, either in written information or other webinars that we've recorded on those specific subjects, and even specific videos that have been recorded on specific topics. In fact, I'd like to point out a few of these to you. So I'm going over to ABA's official website, bookweb.org. And if you look in the green menu bar at the top, if you look for e-commerce and ebooks and IndieCommerce, you can see a drop-down menu here with a lot of information. Our IC Help Center has a lot of written documentation under a lot of different headers. We have a video training center. These are videos that have been recorded on very specific topics, and we have previous webinars that have also been recorded, again, on very specific topics. The purpose of this particular webinar is to give you sort of an overview of what a store is expected to do or needs to do once they get their hands on their initial site. And how do you get started? What's the first thing you do? What's the second thing you do? So we're going to take a look at that information now. So what we're looking at here is a site that was created, and this is pretty much what a website looks like when a store signs up and we create the site for them. This is what we send them. There's not a lot of information here. We put a little bit of information in by default, so we set things up for the store, but we're going to take you through some of those settings now so you can take a look at this information. Sometimes the information that we have may not be the best information to put into those fields. So again, we'll walk you through this and you can take a look and fix anything that might be incorrect. So first of all, you'll notice there isn't a whole lot of information here. There is the name of the store, the IndieCommerce Institute bookstore, and it says for all your Institute needs. And then there's only two links here. There's a My Account and something called Resources. Generally, when we hand a website off to the store, it really just has the My Account link, and that's pretty much it. There will also be a log out button, but you won't see that until you're actually logged in. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to log into the account here. Now, when we create the site, we create a login for the initial user. Whoever sent us the contract, whoever's name is on that, they by default become the top level user, and they're the ones who have access to go in and create other accounts and assign permissions to certain accounts. So what I'm going to do here is log in as a store administrator, and we'll be able to see a couple of things. First of all, when you're logged in as an administrator, you can tell because you can see this toolbar across the top. If you can see the toolbar, that means you're logged in as an administrator. Over here I have a hello, and that goes to my own account, and I also have a log out link at the top here. So first of all, we put the My Account link at the top of the site in the main menu, and that of course allows you to log in. Keep in mind, if you were to somehow accidentally remove your My Account link, what you can do, we just go /user. That will bring you to your login page. So we'll log back in again. Now, actually, before I log in, I want to show you also something else. We set up one user as the store administrator, and that person then has access to assign roles to other users. Before you can assign roles to other users, those users have to create an account for themselves. So just as a customer would if they were going to place an order on your site, anyone who is going to have administrator access to your site needs to go to create new account. They need to fill out all these fields and create an account for themselves. They'll be asked for a username, an email address, it doesn't matter to us what it is, and then a password and confirm the password. Once that person has created their account, then we'll go back to login. I'm going to log in again as the store administrator. And now what I do as the store administrator, now that I have someone who has created an account for themselves, here's where I'm going to go. I go to Store, Configuration, and then Store Roles. And here you can see other store administrators that have been added. So there's a couple of my colleagues here. This is myself, viddemo at videodemo.com. And if all you need for the to assign a role to another user is their email address, just add their email address here, for instance, and you can give them store administrator access and assign role. And that's all. If, for instance, someone leaves your company and you don't want them to have access anymore, all you need to do is put a check mark under remove role, and you can remove the role from that particular user. What that will do is set them back to just be a regular customer. Okay. So that's how you get other users or other employees signed up as store administrators, so they can also work on the site. I'll do one more thing since I didn't mention it here. There are a couple of different roles available. First of all, keep in mind you will not see ABA admin. You won't be able to assign people as an ABA admin. So what you'll be looking at here is store admin, order admin, store editor, and affiliate. The store administrator has the highest level of access. The store administrator can create content, they can delete content, they can create orders on behalf of customers, they can process orders, they can pretty much do everything. They also have access to assign roles to other users, so they are really the top level of access. The other roles that are available, the order admin, an order admin will have access to look at and process orders. They can edit orders. They will have access to what limited credit card information there is, but they will not be able to create content, edit, or delete content. And the converse is true. The store editor has access to create content, edit, and delete content, but they do not have access to orders. So that's a way you can sort of separate out the jobs and only give certain people certain responsibilities. Okay. So now that we have made sure that people can get in here and that you can all be working on the website, let's take a look at a couple of other things. Now, as I said, when we create the initial store, we do put some initial information into the site. So I'm going to show you a couple of places where you want to check up on this information. So for instance, we have store, configuration, and store. And this is some basic information, again, that you're going to want to go over. Really, what we're looking for on the first page here under basic information, there's a store name. I'm hoping we got that right. The store owner, keep in mind, this doesn't necessarily have to be the actual owner. It might just be the best contact person for the website. Occasionally, ABA needs to get in touch with you about something. Maybe we noticed something on your website. Maybe there's a fraudulent order we're trying to alert you to. So the store owner, this field would be anybody who would be the best contact for us to talk to about the website. The email address here, this email address is used when a customer creates an account for themselves. They receive an email from the store, and this email will appear to come from this address. We advocate that this address and others that are used in other places, which I'll point out, we advocate that this be an email address that is attached to your domain name. We have a lot of stores that have email addresses that are connected to Hotmail or Yahoo, Gmail, AOL, things like that. There is a problem with these kinds of addresses. The issue is that essentially when we send emails out from your site to your customer with those addresses, we are essentially pretending to be those email services. And those services don't appreciate that. So when we send email out as if it were coming from an AOL account, AOL has a problem with that, and they will block that email. So a lot of times, if you're using an email address that is attached to AOL or Hotmail or Yahoo, those emails are not getting all the way to your customer. So again, we advocate that you look into your registrar, the folks that you purchased your domain from, and talk to them about setting up at least one email account that is attached to your domain. Again, otherwise, there will be issues. And there are a few other things here. A phone number, you may or may not have a fax number. And down here, you can actually create a page with some help information that would give your customers either a link back to your home page, maybe how to contact the store. If they ran into trouble, they can always give you a call. So you can create a page and you can actually add the path here. And we'll show you something like that a little bit later. The other thing we're looking for on this page is the store address. If you click here, there's just basic store address information. Really, the most important thing that we're looking for here is the county. We look up the county for your particular store and we put it here, but we want to make sure that this information is correct. This will directly impact how your site calculates taxes. And if the county is wrong, then the taxes may be calculated incorrectly. So just make sure that this information is all good. Okay, the next place that we're going to look for information is under Store, Configuration, and let's see, we're going to look for, actually let's go, we're going to do this instead. We're going to go to Configuration, System, and Site Information. There's a little more information here. Here's the site name. This is what actually appears at the top of the website as the default store name. There is a slogan you can put in there. You can see this on the top of my site. This says for all your institute needs. But keep in mind, it won't. Not all themes have a place to show a slogan. So even if you've put it in here, your theme may not display it. Again, another email address. Again, we want to make sure that this is correct. Again, this is anytime someone sends out creates an account for themselves, they will be sent an email from your system, and the email will appear to come from this address. Now let's see. So again, you want to make sure that this information is correct. And again, if it is an AOL, Hotmail, or Yahoo address, we urge you to look into your registrar and getting an email address that is connected with your actual domain. We also have some information down here. You can create default pages and you can add those addresses in here. So for instance, we have an error page. Now, for instance, and a page not found. So for instance, let's say I go to a page that doesn't exist, like 1, 2, 3, we get this thing that says page not found, the requested page could not be found. But instead, what I've done is I've actually created a page. And what I'm going to do here, this is just, I'll put this in here, and I'm going to save this configuration. Now, if I try to go to a page that doesn't exist, I get this page instead. So you can create a page that your customers will encounter if they go to the wrong place. And again, this can have helpful information, a link back to your home page, you know, hey, if you're not finding what you're looking for, give us a call, that sort of thing. And again, the same thing for access denied. In this case, I have one called node/3, and we'll save that. If I were to log out and try to log out again, I come to this page, access denied. No, you're not supposed to be here. So again, you can force what your customers will see when they get into those particular situations. Okay, we'll log back in. Oops. Okay, so we're logged back in. Now let's take a look at a couple of other things. Again, some administrative things that you want to look at. I know we're not really doing anything with the look and the feel of the website yet, but we will be getting to that. The next thing I want to look into is going to be, we're going to go to Store, configuration, account information and preferences, and here there are a couple of things that I want to point out. First, we have a list of store features. These are modules. Modules are basically sort of sub-programs that can be added to your site, little widgets that do this thing or that thing. There are a lot of them, and this page pretty much outlines what is available. So if you look through these and you can say, oh, you know, I wanted to add a blog to my website, so let me come over here and click enable this feature. And if you go to the bottom of the page, you can send a request to ABA, and we will activate that module for you. We will respond to you, and we'll send you a little documentation on that particular item so you could use it. So again, if you look through here, you can see some of them are enabled by default, some of them are disabled by default. And if you want it enabled or if you want it disabled, just click the appropriate checkbox and click submit at the bottom and let us know. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about, we're going to go again to Store, Configuration, Account Information and Preferences, and the other one here is Store Preferences. This is a list of checkboxes. Now, generally, if we come up with a particular item that stores have been asking for, usually it's something that can be toggled on or off, and we leave it up to the store. We tend to put it on this page. So there are a bunch of things here that you can toggle on and off. If we run through the list fairly quickly, wholesaler fulfilled. If you check the box, it means that orders can be picked up by Ingram automatically without your consent, and they will be sent over to the wholesaler and they will be filled from there. Many stores choose to remove the check mark. What this does is provides you with a separate button on every eligible order. So if an order can be sent to Ingram, you'll be able to click the button at the top of it and send it on to Ingram. That way you can look at each order on a case-by-case basis and decide whether or not to send it over to Ingram. Short discount. Let's see. Short discount books are those that Ingram discounts less than 35%. If you uncheck the box, then Ingram will be able to fill those orders for you. If you put a check mark in the box, that will stop Ingram from filling those particular titles for you. Again, a lot of stores feel that they can do better than the discount that they're getting on those books from Ingram. Special order. Any title that is listed in Ingram's database but that Ingram does not currently have in stock is listed as special order. This would be anything from a popular book that is backordered a few days to a book that is OSI at the publisher and on its way to out of print. If you click the checkbox here, these books will not be available for sale. Customers can see them, but they can't drop them into their shopping cart, and they won't see a price for them. Disabling ebook fulfillment. If you want to do that, you can just check the box there. Not yet published. These are books that have a publication date that is further out than 120 days. The information on these books we generally consider to be in flux. So we don't like to put an add to cart button on them. We don't like to show a price for them. But some stores have insisted a book is available in the database. They want their customers to be able to pre-order it. If you want the add to cart button to show on these not yet published books, just check the box. Default product description. If you check the box, again, it will show whatever default product description is available. It will show for any particular title. Stop all Ingram orders. This actually doesn't work. This was created specifically for our migration from the Drupal 6 platform over to Drupal 7. It is not functioning at the moment. Always save credit card profile. This is a very popular one these days. When customers place orders through your site, they are given the option whether or not they want to store their credit card information. If a customer doesn't store their credit card information, then their credit card is pre-authorized for about 4 weeks. After 4 weeks, if the order has not been handled, the pre-authorization expires and you would have to contact that customer for payment information again. If you click Always Save Credit Card Profile, then customers will not have an option to store it or not. It will be stored for all customers. Generally, this makes things easier for the store and for the customer. The store can come back to an existing order 2 or 3 months down the road and still charge the card. They can also add things onto the order and charge the card for a higher amount without getting the customer involved. Hide the logo in the invoice. Some stores have a very large logo that takes up a lot of space at the top of a printable invoice. You can always hide that logo if that is the case. Disable a search by ISBN 10. Generally, our sites will convert a 10-digit ISBN to a 13-digit, and it will look for that particular item. If you want to disable that functionality, just put a check mark in the box. And show large cover image. Again, you can do that if you want to, just give the box a check. Okay, let's go on. There are a couple of other things administratively that we want to cover. The next thing we're going to talk about is going to be taxes. So we're going to go to Store, Configuration, and Taxes. Now, when you come to this page, keep in mind, most stores will see two different tax rates. There is one called tax, that is your local tax rate, and there's another one called New York tax. The only stores who are not going to see this are stores that are already located in New York. The reason there is a New York tax listed is because any order that ships into New York State is always charged New York State tax. That is because ABA exists here in New York, so we have what is called a tax nexus. So keep in mind, there should, in most cases, be two tax rules here. You don't really need to change anything else. We just want to make sure that when you're looking at your local tax rate, this is the correct information. Again, the New York tax rate, you don't need to change. Don't delete it. Don't edit it. Don't do anything with it. It is already set up to take care of that. Now, some stores, the state that they are in is considered a source-based tax state. And what that means is that tax is charged based on where the store itself is located. Other stores are in a destination tax state. And what that means is that the tax is calculated based on the customer's ship-to zip code. You want to let us know. Stores are by default set up as source-based tax stores. So if you know this is not true for your store, if you know that you are a destination-based tax location, then you need to let us know that so we can make a few changes here and make sure that that is functioning. Okay, let's go on to a couple of other things. Again, under Store, we do a lot of things under here. Store, Configuration, and let's see, we're going to do Shipping Quotes. There are a lot of shipping options available to your customers, but generally when we send the store out or we send the site out to the store, we make some changes to those. For instance, I go through this list and I remove the overnight and 2-day shipping options. These are generally only used by fraudsters who are trying to place orders that get filled before anybody knows what's going on. International, a lot of our stores don't have international clientele. If you do, certainly you can turn that feature on. So we generally look to limit things initially to in-store pickup, UPS ground shipping, and gift card and gift certificate. All of these can be changed. None of this is written in stone, and no store goes live without going through a training session in which we go over all of these shipping options and the different options that stores have available to them. If you do have any questions, of course, about shipping, about setting up these shipping rates, please let us know. There is, again, written documentation over on bookweb.org under e-commerce and ebooks, IndieCommerce in the IC Help Center. Okay, let's keep going. The next thing that we're going to look at are payment methods. So I'm going to go again to Store, Configuration, and payment methods. There is not really a lot of information here. Keep in mind, there's only a few things that we're looking for. Again, Pay at Store is activated by default. That allows customers, if they are choosing to pick their order up at the store, they can also opt to pay at the store when they arrive. If you want to turn that off, if you want customers to be forced to put credit card information in when they're placing an order, you can remove the Pay at Store option. House account, not many people use this. Really, it was just something that we put in so that we can do some further testing if we need to. Again, most stores don't offer house accounts to their customers. And we're looking here for credit card information. Let's take a look, and then yeah, there's not really any information here. You will see these settings tabs, but there's really not anything that you can do with them that's really for ABA staff. So again, really, you're just either toggling these options on or off at this point.
If a store has PayPal or GiveX?
Yes, if a store, now again, we do go through this with stores before they go live, but if you're using PayPal, you want to let us know that. We can set that up. It's a module that we would have to enable for you and make it available, and it will be available here under this list of payment methods. And again, if you're using GiveX gift cards, again, let us know this, and there are a couple of things that we would put into the website that would allow your site to communicate with GiveX or with PayPal that will facilitate that payment method. So again, if you're using either one of those, just let us know. Okay. Now, by default, stores are operating on ABA's shared authorized.net account. Authorized.net is a payment gateway. And what they do is they verify credit cards on our behalf, and they allow sales to go through or not based on how they feel about a particular credit card or particular credit card information. It is possible for stores to have their own authorized.net account. If you pursue this, again, let us know. We can probably give you a hand with setting it up, but really the process would start with you contacting your in-store credit card processor and let them know you're looking to set up an authorized.net account, and they can help you out with that. If you have any questions on that, please don't hesitate. Give us a call and let us know. Okay. Now let's see, we covered that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to go into is the appearance of the site. Now, by default, again, when we hand off a site to a store, the site pretty much looks like this. The way the site looks is dictated by the theme. In this case, the default theme that we use is called Responsive Bardic. And basically, we chose it because it's fairly simple to use. It also has some options that stores are often looking for, like color options. Now, first of all, we're going to look at all of the themes that are available. So we're going to go to Appearance. Just click on Appearance, and that's going to bring you to a page that shows you all of the themes that are currently available for your site. At the top, what we find are enabled themes. These are themes that you can make changes to. You can arrange the blocks, you can change colors if the theme allows it, you can make different settings changes. Only one theme will be your default, that is the theme that your customers see. That's going to be the one at the very top. Again, in this case, it's called Responsive Bardic. I've enabled another theme called Bamboo because I wanted to play around with it, see if I wanted to use it, but my customers cannot see it. While it is enabled and I can make settings changes to it, it is not my default. The seventh theme is the theme that you see whenever you're working the back end of the site. If you're checking on orders, if you're creating content, by default, the seventh theme is the theme that you're looking at. I'll show you very briefly. The seventh theme pretty much looks like this. It is designed to not have any block locations, so there's nothing to get in the way of your order processing or creating content or anything like that. Just keep in mind, the seventh theme is designed to be your administrative theme. It is not designed to be seen by your customers, so don't set it as your default. Below those, we have disabled themes, and as you can see, there are a lot of them. There are a few dozen of these default themes that are available. This page will show you a little thumbnail, but if you really want to play around with it, you can just click Enable, and it will become one of the themes that you can now look at and make changes, settings changes to, and all that sort of thing. So now I have Responsive Bardic, I have Bamboo, I have Corporate Blue, and I have my 7 theme. Okay. Now, each theme has its own settings. So let's go to, for instance, Responsive Bardic. We'll take a look at the settings here. Again, some themes are very flexible. They have a lot of things that you can change. In some cases, you can change the width of the sidebars or the color of the sidebars. Again, the Responsive Bardic theme has a lot of color options. So for instance, I can grab my header top here. Let's take a look. If you see the color wheel, you will also see a little schematic diagram of what the site looks like down below. So you can see if I actually grab this color wheel at the top and I pull it up here like that, you can see down here that the top of the banner actually changes color. And I can do the same with the header bottom. I can pull that around and give it this interesting look. So there are a lot of things. The main background is in white. If you have specific colors for your site that you want to match, you can drop in the hexadecimal color values right here. And if you're not familiar with hexadecimal colors, just Google the term hexadecimal and you will come up with a number of pages that have color swatches with the different values associated. Just copy the value, drop it in here, and that's the value that you will get. Coming down a little further, there are almost every theme has a toggle display, certain things that you can turn on and off, whether I show my logo, whether my site name appears at the top, things like that, whether my main menu actually appears at the top, those sorts of things. If I want to upload my own logo, I can uncheck this and upload my own logo that would appear at the top left of the site. And I can also upload my own shortcut icon, which, by the way, is this little icon that appears on the tab at the top of your browser. Okay, again, keep in mind, some themes will have a lot of options that you can change, and some themes will have almost none. So that's why it helps to enable themes and take a look at them. I do want to point out very quickly, let's see. There is a website here. It's at videodemo.d7.indiebound.com. It's called Cascado Books. And one of the things that we've done here is we've included a little tool. If you click on the drop-down menu here, you can pick any particular theme and click switch, and what the system is going to do is shoehorn all of this existing content into a new theme. This isn't going to show you everything about a theme, but it will give you a pretty good idea of what that theme is trying to accomplish. Okay.
We have some theme information on BookWeb.
Yes, again on BookWeb, if you go to e-commerce and ebooks, IndieCommerce and IC Help Center, you'll come to this page, and under Design Help, we have a couple of things. There is, first of all, there's a spreadsheet of Drupal themes. And what this spreadsheet tries to do is show you the different themes and different options that they may or may not have. So options that stores are often looking for. Does it have color options? Is it a fluid or is it a responsive theme? Does it have a drop-down menu? Does it have a built-in slideshow? So you can do a little bit of comparison here. That's the point of this. So just by looking through this spreadsheet, you may be able to decide which themes you definitely don't want to use and which you may want to use. We highly recommend, by the way, themes that are responsive. That is, themes that will automatically resize based on the size of the device that the customer is using. And also, we'll go back here, under Design Help, we also have a handy list of stores that are already using certain themes. So you can take a look, let's say we come down here, there's a few stores using Mix and Match, fairly popular. And what you'll generally find is if you click on these different links and look at stores, even if they're using the same theme, because of the way that particular store uses that theme, most stores do not look the same. The theme is the framework that you're working with, but the way the store actually looks will be dictated by the personality that the store injects into it with their text and their images and their layout. Okay, let's keep going. Let's go back here. Now, at the top of the site here, there is a menu. It's very short. There is only one link. It says My Account. That will bring you to your, if I click now, it'll bring me to my account page because I'm logged in. And if I'm logged out, it brings me to a page where I can log in. But we want a couple of other things up here. So I'm going to show you very quickly how to add things to the menu. So I'm going to go to Structure and Menus, and we can see a list of menus that already exist. Most stores tend to stick with the main menu to put all of their links in. The main menu is generally designed to be presented in a nice way in a very prominent location on the theme that you're using. So main menu is probably your best option. If I go to edit the menu, we can see a couple of things. First of all, there's the My Account link that we can see, but I have another link in here called Resources, and you can see that it's disabled. This is a link that I created, but I took the little check mark out from here. So I'm going to enable this. We'll click Save, and if I go back to the home page, you can see there's now a Resources link. The Resources really was just, we have a couple of things in here on themes, on communication. We'll get to that in a little bit. So I'm going to go back to Structure and Menus, and I'm going to go back to the main menu. One of the things that customers are often looking for is a log out link. Stores can often miss this because when you're logged in as an administrator, you can actually see a log out link at the top of your menu bar just by virtue of being a store administrator. But your customers don't see that information. So something that we generally do, but if we haven't, or if you've accidentally removed it, you can put a link in that will allow customers to log out. So what we're going to do is click Add Link, and the link title is going to be Log Out. The path is anything that comes after .com/ in your store's web address. In this case, the path is user/logout. We're going to make sure it's enabled. It is going to show up in my main menu, and I'm going to click Save at the bottom here. So now I can see I have my account, I have my resources link, and I have logout. And if I go back to the home page, you can see all three of those across the top. So that's basically how links are added to the menu. Now, another thing that I want to do here, we're going to take a look at blocks. Blocks are essentially small, discrete bits of information that can live in a number of places on your website. So let's take a look here. We're going to go to Structure and Blocks. We're just going to click on Blocks. And what this does, it brings me to a page that wants to show me all of the blocks that are available for my site and where they're placed currently. If I just go to Structure and Blocks, I wind up here looking at the block locations or the block layout for my responsive Bardic theme or my default theme. But I could also look at the block layout for my bamboo theme, which is going to be a little bit different, and the one for corporate blue. But in this case, we're going to stick with responsive Bardic. First of all, at the top of this page is a link that says Demonstrate Block Regions. So we're going to click on that. So it again shows me sort of a schematic diagram of my theme, the responsive Bardic, and where these different blocks would appear if I placed them. So the header is going to put a block way up at the top of the site. If I put something in Featured, a block in Featured, it's going to show up just below my main menu. My sidebar first is going to show up on the left, sidebar second is going to show up on the right. So often what we do here, just to get stores started, let's exit the block region demonstration. We'll go back to the regular block page. So now as we walk down through here, you can see what this page is trying to show you. In the header section, I have no blocks listed. In the help section, there's actually a block called System Help that's put there by default. In my highlighted, I have no blocks. In my featured, I have no blocks. Under content, there's a main page content. Again, that is a default setting. You don't want to move that around. There is a browse books block in my first sidebar, but it only shows up on one particular page. So by default, you don't generally see it. So just to illustrate what's going on here, we're going to come down to the bottom, and these are all the block locations with no blocks listed. And finally, at the bottom of the page, I have disabled. These are all of the blocks that exist but haven't been placed anywhere. There's a lot of things in here. If your store has not gone live yet, it's easy enough to enable these blocks and take a look at them, see what they do. Some of them are helpful. Some of them are in here by default from Drupal. They may not be very helpful. For instance, Powered by Drupal is just going to put a little legend at the bottom of your site that says Powered by Drupal. Most stores don't really need that. There are a few things in here, though, that are fairly essential. For instance, search forms. You do want your customers to be able to search for things. So I'm going to take this search form, and I'm going to choose from my drop-down menu which block location it'll be placed in. In this case, I want it in my sidebar second, so it's going to show up on the right side of my site. And as soon as I click sidebar second, you'll notice that block disappears from my disabled list. And if I go to the top of the page, you can see it is now listed in my second sidebar under search form. But that's not all. I want to do a few other things. I have a shopping cart. I'm also going to put at the top of my second sidebar. And there are a couple of other things here. I have an event calendar. I'm going to put that on my sidebar first. And I also have upcoming events. This is also pretty handy. And I'm going to put that in my sidebar first. And I think we can stick with that. One other will do, and that's going to be the IndieBound Next list. And we'll put that again in the sidebar first. So now we've placed a bunch of blocks in our left and right sidebar. Let's save those, and then we'll go back to the front page and see what's going on here. So now we can see the page has a little more definition to it. You can now see my left sidebar and my right sidebar. I have lots of other blocks I can add, but in this case, I put my upcoming events here at the top. Of course, I have no upcoming events just yet. And I also have the Indie Next list. Again, this is great information to have. If customers click on this, they'll go immediately to the Indie Next list of titles, and they can purchase directly from there. And then I have an upcoming event calendar down here. If I were to create an event in my content that actually has a date and a time, it would appear as a bold date on my calendar. And it would also appear as a title and a link up here on my upcoming events. All right, you can move blocks around. Again, you want to take a look at the blocks that are available, activate them, see what they do. It might be something you want to use on your site, or it might not be. Okay, let's see, let's keep going. Keep in mind, your site is capable of selling ebooks. Stores may not know this right off the bat. There is a separate contract that you need to sign for Kobo, but keep in mind there is no monetary outlay for this. It simply lets us know that you're willing to play by the rules that Kobo and ABA have set up between us. And essentially what happens is you place a link on your site, customers will click on it, they will click through to Kobo, they place their order, and the store receives a percentage of that particular order. Keep in mind that stores aren't retiring on their ebook proceeds, but it is generally viewed as something that a service that stores like to offer to their customers. So again, if you want to make that available, just let us know, and we'll send you the appropriate paperwork. Okay, let's keep going. We're rapidly reaching the end here. We wanted to mention, let's see. I don't think we need to do that. I do want to point out this. You'll notice this 800-pound gorilla in the room. My site actually says no front page content has been created yet. We really don't want that. So what we can do is add some content. Now again, keep in mind we have extensive information on creating content, on uploading images, all of these things. These are all, we have them available as written documentation. We have them available as videos in the Video Training Center on bookweb.org. So we're not going to go into a lot of detail here, but I'll show you very quickly how easy this can be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Content, Add Content, and in this case I'm going to add a page. The page, I'm just going to call it Welcome, and down here I'm going to grab a couple of things here. I do advocate that you compile any content outside of the website in a notepad file or anything like that, so you can copy and paste it in. I prefer working outside of the website for that. Also, if somehow you accidentally delete the page that you've created, you still have that information written elsewhere. So in this case, I just have a little bit of information. I'm going to make that bold, I'm going to make it huge, huger than that. I'm going to center it, and I'm going to stick an image in here. Again, I'm going through this very quickly, but we have plenty of information that outlines all of this. In this case, I'm going to use my store image, so I'm going to insert that file. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to come down to the bottom here and click Save. There we go. So now I have a page. It has been created, but it's not my home page yet. There are two ways that I can do this. First of all, if I grab the path up here, that is, again, everything after .com/, which in this case is just the word welcome, I can do this. Is it here? System site information. Is it my front page? I have a default front page. If I just drop the path in there and save it, go back to my front, there is my front page. The other way that I can do this is if I go directly to Edit. At the bottom of this page, we have a number of publishing options. First of all, the page has to be published or it won't be visible to my customers, but I can also select it to be promoted to the front page. And again, that will force it to be my front page content. Regardless, by creating a piece of content and forcing it to be my front page, that removes that little legend that says no front page content has been created yet. So again, very simple to add content, put it up on your site. Let's take a look. What else?
Just for the event to show it.
Oh yes, the event. When you create an event, we'll go to content, add content, and one of those things that you can do is an event. What happens is, hopefully, there is an event address that is automatically populated. If it is not populated, or if you notice that it has a typo or doesn't have the correct information or the best information, here's where you go to change it. We're going to go to Structure, Content Types, and Event, and Manage Fields. From here, we have the event address. If we go into edit that, you can see there are default values. So again, you want to make sure that you're putting the information is correct. That way, anytime you create an event, it will automatically have the correct information associated with it. Okay, we are rapidly approaching the end of our discussion here. But we do want to go into a couple of other things here. I want to point out something here just to show you what not to do. We're going to go to Store, Configuration, and Checkout. Now, we're pointing this out because stores do have access to this page, but you need to be very careful. What this shows you is the order of the checkout panes that the customer encounters when they're going through the checkout process. The thing about this page is that these panes need to be in a very specific order, otherwise the checkout won't work correctly. The reason that I'm pointing this out is because some stores will ask, my customers have tax-exempt information that they want to input. This may be unchecked, so customers don't see that option. But if you just check it and then submit that change or save the configuration at the bottom, then your customers will see tax-exempt information as they go through the checkout process, and they can submit that information to you. If you don't want your customers to be able to do that, you can just leave the box unchecked. But again, really, if you get to this page, we just want you to know that you really don't need to change anything here. Okay. Now, occasionally a store will contact us and say, I have a customer who is in the UK or in Australia, and they want to place an order, but they can't put their address in. So we'll show you very quickly. If you do have overseas clientele, you can add them as, let's see, you can add their countries, so that makes it available for them to place orders with you. So we're going to go to Store, Configuration, and here we have countries and addresses. By default, the only two countries that are enabled are Canada and the United States. In this case, I've also enabled the United Kingdom, and the way you do that is simply click Import Countries here, and you will see a long list of every country on the planet, and you can decide which ones you want to use and which ones you don't. That is entirely up to you. You'll see pretty much everything in there. So if we wanted people in France to be able to order, we just click on France and click Import, and that adds them to this list here. By the way, it also removes them from this list here. Okay. All right, let's see. Let's go address fields in the same area. These are the fields that a customer encounters when they're trying to place an order. This is the information that we're looking for, both for delivery and for billing address. You'll notice that these fields are all enabled. They are all visible to the customer, but they're not all required. Street address 2, for instance, is not required, and neither is a company name. At the bottom of the list, you'll see phone number. A lot of stores like to require the phone number. It forces a customer to give the store reliable contact information, and it helps to keep fraudulent orders down. All right, let's see. The next thing, oh yes, keep in mind if you do make your site available for customers in other countries, keep in mind if you're using ABA's authorized.net account, we do not allow cards that are drawn on foreign banks. Customers can use credit cards from overseas, but they have to be drawn on a US bank. If that is an untenable situation for you, you definitely want to look into getting your own authorized.net account to get around that. Okay, let's see. Okay. We do want to point out there are a couple of ways. I'm going to bring you back to my home page here, and we're going to go to our resources tab here, and I want to take a look at communication. Keep in mind, we often have something to say. We're almost always looking for someone at the store to send information to. Now, we have a couple of ways of doing this. First of all, there is a message center link in your admin toolbar at the top here. We recommend, even if it is not red or blinking red, we suggest that you take a look in here anyway. There are messages that we've put in just maybe a week or two ago. There are archived messages going back a long way. So you definitely want to take a look at that. If we put a message in there, this message center link will be red. It will not be black or gray as it is here. It will be red and it will flash at you. And it will do that until you actually click on that link. So if you see it flashing, it means that we have something we want to tell you that we think is fairly important. You probably want to take a look at it. Let's go back again to our resources and we'll go to communication. Okay, you can, let's see, make sure you're on our email list. We have an email that goes out, the Indie Communication, and if you're not receiving this, what you can do is go to bookweb.org, again, go to e-commerce and ebooks, IndieCommerce, and IC Help Center, and you'll see this form in the sidebar. So if you're not receiving an email, if you're not receiving that email to your particular address, by all means, sign up for it and we'll start sending it to that address. Okay, we're going to go back. You can also sign up for future webinars. I'll give you that page here. That's under bookweb.org/IndieCommerce-webinar-sign. And we will put up information. This is for the previous one. We haven't changed this information yet. So we'll get that up when we have a new webinar ready to go. You can sign up and register for that webinar there. Okay, now as far as contacting us, it's usually pretty easy. There is almost always someone here in the office during the week, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You can contact us, 800-637-0037, click option 2, and that will put you through to anyone who is currently available, or you can email us at staff@bookweb.org. Keep in mind, if you are leaving us a message or sending us an email, please give us some information about your store. We often receive emails from Joe telling us that I'm having a problem with my site, can you help me? That's not enough information. So let us know, Joe who, from which store, give us your URL. Even if we know your store name, your URL might be different. Let us know that. If you're trying to contact us about a particular order, give us the order number. If it's a specific book or an ISBN, give us that information. Often we can have an answer for you by the time we get back to you. If we don't have all that information, we'll just be contacting you with more questions. Okay, I think we're about done.
We also have archives if stores want to look at it under Message Center.
Yep. We do have, as I mentioned, the Indie Communication archives. Go through and take a look at some of that information. While it may have been posted a while ago, it doesn't make it any less relevant. Okay, I think we're about done. I think we've covered everything that we want to. So what we're going to do now, we're going to open this up, and if anybody has any questions, all you need to do is type your question in the question box on your GoToWebinar panel, and we'll answer those questions. If we have done our job well, there may not be any questions. If you have any questions, please type it in the question box, or if you want to raise your hand, we can unmute your microphone if you want to speak with us. Keep in mind that, again, this webinar is being recorded, and this recording will be posted in our webinar center on bookweb.org in the coming days, maybe early next week, I believe it'll be up. Okay, well, it looks like perhaps we've done our job better than expected. We have no questions at the moment. Again, we'll probably be hanging around here for a few more minutes. Again, if you think of anything that you want to type in or raise your hand and let us know, we will be here for a few more minutes. But without any questions, we'll be closing the webinar shortly. And again, keep in mind this will be recorded and posted. And if you do have any questions, even if it is after the webinar, please contact us. Let us know. That's why we're here. Thank you all for attending or watching our recording, and we will see you next time. Thanks.